One of the biggest complaints I hear when I ask others why they don't meal prep is that they don't have time. Well, I know that's not the case, and today's recipe proves it, because in the same amount of time it would take you to grab lunch, you could have 5 super tasty buffalo chicken broccoli bowls already made. And not only that, you'd save a ton of money too, so let's jump in on how to make it. We'll start with the rice today, for which I'm using 250 grams of white long grain rice, or you could use whatever you have. And you can see that I washed my rice beforehand, which is why the pan looks a little wet already. And for those who are maybe new here or may not know, washing your rice is very critical to avoid ending up with mushy rice in the end, which is ultimately caused by the excess starch that's on dry rice. So by washing it off, you can maintain the structure of the grain better as it cooks. And so just run your rice under tap water until the water drains out clearly, and that's when you know the excess starch is gone. But once this is done, we'll set this off to the side before coming back to it later. The next thing we'll want to cook is the broccoli, so I'm going to layer 680 grams of raw broccoli onto a foil-lined baking tray. We'll hit this with a little bit of olive oil so it doesn't burn. Then we'll season with 1 to 2 teaspoons of salt and 1 to 2 teaspoons of black pepper. We'll also toss in 3 cloves of minced garlic, which I'll just scatter over the top here before mixing everything together with my hands. Now once this is all mixed well, we'll put it in a 425-degree Fahrenheit oven for about 20 to 25 minutes or so, just until the broccoli is sufficiently soft and starts to develop some color. Okay, perfect. Now just like that, we're on to our almost final ingredient, which is the chicken. And today I'm using 930 grams of chicken breast. You can cook the chicken breast whole and cut them up afterwards, or you can do what I'm doing here and cut them up in advance. I don't know if I have a preference, just depends on how I'm feeling on that day. But we'll cut this all up and then we'll add it to a mixing bowl, and similar to the broccoli, we'll hit this with a spray of olive oil, then season with 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of black pepper, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, and then 2 teaspoons of onion powder. And now we can mix this together. And by the way, I use powder and granulated interchangeably, although that's not technically right. What I'm technically using here is granulated garlic and granulated onion, not powder, but they'll work equally well, so it doesn't matter which one you use. But anyways, we'll toss this now into a medium-high skillet with a little bit of olive oil and very simply let the chicken sear until it's finished. And we've done this a number of times, so I'm not sure I need to walk us through cooking the chicken. Although I'll just note for anyone that finds it helpful that I have this rough rule of thumb for cooking diced chicken where I'll pretty much just let the chicken cook entirely before I touch it. This allows the chicken enough time to develop a crust. Otherwise, if I start tossing it around generally before it's finished cooking, I'll more or less end up with boiling it in the end, which I don't want. So that's something you can try, although it partly depends on the temperature of your skillet, so be mindful of that. Now once all of our chicken is cooked, I'm going to toss it all back into the skillet, go ahead and turn off my heat, and then add in 80 grams of buffalo sauce to the pan. And I'm reserving some buffalo sauce for later. If I wasn't filming, I would just add all 120 grams of buffalo sauce at this point for easiness, but I just wanted to spoon some over the top later when I prep. Alright, now we can move on to the actual final ingredient, which is the ranch. To make this, we'll toss in 125 grams of non-fat Greek yogurt, grate in half a clove of garlic, add in 4 tablespoons of diced dill, then we'll season with half a teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of onion powder, half a teaspoon of salt, and then half a teaspoon of black pepper. And then we'll finish this off with a squeeze of a lemon wedge, and then 40 grams of cashew or low-fat milk, whatever you have. And then we'll just mix this all together. And now look, you don't have to make the ranch yourself. There are so many good brands out there that make healthy, lower calorie ranch. For instance, we like to use the Bolthouse Farms brand, which you can try out yourself. But either way, my point is that you don't have to make the ranch. You can always just go buy one. So it is optional. At this point, our broccoli is pretty much ready, so I'm going to take it out of the oven here, and here's what we end up with, which looks pretty dang good. Going to go ahead and slide in a bowl here, and then I'm basically just going to take it all and put it in the mixing bowl, which will just help make it easier for prepping later. You don't have to do this. You can certainly prep your containers straight from the pan. This is totally optional as well. Alright, now once this is all transferred, we can go ahead and prep. We'll first go in with our rice, which we'll try to neatly nestle to one side of the bowl here. Then the next thing we'll go in with is our buffalo chicken, which we'll try to organize into that center tranche. And then finally, we'll add in our roasted broccoli to the final tranche to complete our serving. Dang, that's starting to look good. Now I'm going to spoon over the rest of the buffalo sauce onto my chicken. And then on top of that buffalo sauce, I'm going to layer in some of that delicious ranch. I'm using 70 grams total here of ranch, which is what I included in the macro profile that we listed. Something like 15 grams of ranch per serving is a decent reference point to have. But look how simple all this was. And by the way, you don't even have to make all of it. You can actually just buy microwavable rice and microwavable broccoli. Yes, they both taste fine. And as we talked about earlier, you can obviously buy the ranch to get this all cooked in pretty much under like 25 minutes. It's pretty simple. Meal prepping doesn't have to be complicated, and of course these bowls taste good. We wouldn't mislead you like that. As usual, here's the ingredient list for the recipe, and of course this is going to be listed on our website as well as our Instagram page, although we were a bit behind on uploading last week's recipe. But I hope you guys enjoy. We look forward to sharing more soon, and if you have any requests, just please let us know.